We are live from Israel. We've been reporting from the epicenter of the war zone. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. In a short while from now, American President Joe Biden is about to touch down in Tel Aviv, but his visit is going to be shadowed by the horrific images that the world has seen overnight of a hospital being bombed in Gaza. Now, the Gazans have blamed Israel for a rocket strike that they say has reportedly killed more than 500 people at the Baptist hospital in Gaza. But the Israeli military is arguing that this is what they're calling a misfired rocket by the Islamic Jihad. As both sides blame each other, protests have erupted, not just in the West Bank, but in several Arab nations. In fact, in Jordan, the Israeli embassy was stormed late night by protesters. No matter which way you look at it, Biden was coming with a message of solidarity for Israel and was then proceeding to Jordan, where he wanted to talk about humanitarian access and a corridor for possibly the exit, the exodus of the Gazans, the Palestinians who have been relocated with warning from Israel. But the hospital bombing is probably going to overshadow that. The images are truly heartbreaking and horrific. We will be speaking to a senior Israeli government spokesperson in a couple of minutes from now. But first, let's play out for you a short video that captures the bombs as they fell on Gaza's Baptist hospital. Take a look at this.
يا الله يا الله يا الله مستشفى فنديزي فنديزي يا رب يا رب.
A short video that does capture the horror. There are many more horrific images of bodies strewn all over the hospital floor, people carrying out body parts even. It's just been horrible and gruesome to watch. The Israeli Defense Force, the IDF, has issued a statement claiming and alleging that this is a misfired rocket by the Islamic Jihad. Listen in.
I want to give you an announcement of the event that occurred in the hospital in Gaza. I can confirm that an analysis of the IDF operational systems indicates that a barrage of rockets was fired by terrorists in Gaza, passing in close proximity to the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza at the time it was hit. Intelligence from few sources that we have in our hands indicates that the Islamic Jihad is responsible for the failed rocket launch which hit the hospital in Gaza. I repeat, this is the responsibility of Islamic Jihad that killed innocents in the hospital in Gaza.
Let me go across straight to Alon Lavi. He's the deputy spokesperson of the Israeli Foreign Affairs Ministry. Thank you very much for your time. These images are horrific, no matter which side of any divide you're on. When a hospital is targeted, it contravenes what is known as humanitarian rules of law. Israel has blamed the Islamic Jihad. What is the evidence to do so? We've seen, of course, radar images released by the IDF, but the Gazans are saying this is very much an Israeli rocket strike. This horrible tragedy now set to in a way become top of the mind even as the American president touches down in Tel Aviv. Alon.
And indeed, it's a very, very sad incident. And Israel, from the beginning, has clearly avoided targeting civilians, and this is not different. This is clearly not an IDF operation. Not only that the IDF did not target this hospital at all, we have very clear evidence of a barrage of rockets shot by what, based on intelligence, was the Islamic Jihad in proximity to the hospital, seconds before the hospital was hit. This barrage of rockets that was shot, one of them basically misfired, and you can see the video. Even Al Jazeera, which, well, you cannot blame Al Jazeera of supporting Israel, showed live images of video from Gaza identifying this specific missile that or rocket that was shot part of the barrage of rockets and did not go through and fell into Gaza. In addition to that, we have very clear intelligence supporting this, that it was the Islamic Jihad. And unfortunately, this is a systematic operation of Hamas you need to understand there's no Ministry of Health in Gaza. There's Hamas controlling Gaza. Everything comes out of Gaza is the narrative of Hamas, including what's supposed to be factual details. And as an example, if you really analyze what happened yesterday, you can see that minutes after this, they already announced how many dead, and all the details supposedly were announced with no doubt. For Israel, it took hours to confirm that it wasn't us, where they immediately blamed and gave numbers, although, you know, catastrophe like that, as they claim, it takes hours to understand what is going on and to identify and to really understand the casualties. Furthermore, we have released this morning, and I hope you saw that as well, images that were shot after the attack, and you can clearly see that if a regular Air Force missile is creating a crater when it hits the ground or hits an object, you can't see it there. It's a different type of a hit, which clearly suggests that this is not the regular type of what Israel is using.
We'll pull out the images that you're referring to, but I just want to read out to you the tweet that has come from President Biden as he gets ready to land here in a short moment from now. Biden says, "I'm outraged and deeply saddened by the explosion at the Al-Ahli Arabi Hospital, also known as the Baptist Hospital, and the terrible loss of life that resulted. Immediately upon hearing this news, I spoke with King Abdullah of Jordan and Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. I have directed my national security team to continue gathering information about what exactly happened. The United States stands unequivocally for the protection of civilian life, and we mourn the patients, the medical staff, and other innocents killed or wounded in this tragedy." There's President Biden's tweet on your screen, Alan. The fact is that there are also references being made, Alan, to an Arabic page, I don't know if authentic, purportedly of the IDF that initially claimed that there were Hamas terrorists hiding in the hospital, so it had been targeted. The hospital had been given fair warning to evacuate. The allegation being made is that the IDF changed its position somewhere along the way as the horrific images began to emerge from the hospital carnage. How would you respond to that?
Well, there's a lot of fake news, unfortunately, going on, and basically lies that are being used by not only Hamas, but Hamas supporters. I think the fact that immediately, both Hamas and their supporter, immediately, an hour after, came out with everything, means that they didn't have any information, which means that they chose the narrative to blame Israel without even checking anything, and immediately did that. No, Israel did not target civilians, and it's not, I think it's outrageous to think that we did, and it is very sad. And furthermore, you can see from previous escalations of violence that there are a lot of misfired rockets of Hamas and Jihad Islamic that caused a lot of death among the people of Gaza. This is not the first time, this is not the second time, it's not the third time. More than 500 rockets that were shot in this war actually misfired and fell into Gaza or Gaza region, okay? And this is rockets. I think that some of the viewers don't even understand that it means that a rocket that was shot inside of Gaza fell in Gaza, okay? There are more than 500 rockets such, and many evidence from the past that even the Palestinians themselves couldn't prove otherwise of similar cases. So I agree with President Biden. This is horrific.
But can you?
It's absolutely horrible, and the jihadic Islamic Jihad needs to take responsibility for it. Okay, both internationally and for the people of Gaza. They are the cause of this horrible humanitarian situation, and we hope that the international community will say no more.
Can you confirm, though, whether the hospital was a listed target? Because, as I said, initial handles seem to be linked to the IDF, suggested that initially the hospital was seen to be a place where the IDF had alleged that Hamas was taking shelter. Hence, and those posts were deleted later, and we now feel we're very firmly in the fog of war. But I did want to ask you about these reports. I'm sure you've seen them as well.
Yeah, I have seen them, and I don't know. I don't have the list of targets. I do know that Israel, for the last 3, maybe 4 days, and Barkha, you know it very well, is doing its utmost to make sure that civilians will leave certain parts of northern Gaza. We are working very hard to make sure that civilians won't get hurt. The challenge is that this is for Hamas a success. I know it sounds almost unbelievable that Hamas and Jihad are happy that their citizens and their civilians, let's say, the people of Gaza are dead. But yes, this is a success story for them because it supports some sort of a grotesque narrative, okay, that they're trying to push. We are calling now, as we said, all the people, all the civilians in the city of Gaza to leave to the south. It is very clear. I think, Barkha, if your family was in a war zone and they know specifically that they're getting messages to leave their house in order to keep their lives, they would have done it, okay? And I think normal people will do it, but Hamas is actually forcing them to stay in order to be human shield for them.
Let me ask you a last question. Are you worried, as someone who speaks on behalf of the government, but also as an Israeli citizen, that the kind of global solidarity that you saw for Israel after what the Hamas has done, that there is a danger of that diminishing or fading because of what's happened with this hospital? That the hospital carnage has now overtaken all other headlines. This, of course, is the sound of, I can hear jets in the sky at this moment, but go ahead, Alan.
Yes, first of all, the photos that you're seeing now, again, it's one more of many other proofs that it was not an airstrike by the Israeli IDF. And obviously, we're concerned about it. Today, where there's so much fake news and people that are waiting for this opportunity to blame Israel are using it. And it's a concern for us. And obviously, we're taking that into consideration. And this is part of the challenges that we, Israel, face, that there's a lot of bias against Israel. There's nothing to do with facts. No one is really asking. They're just trying to attack Israel and to utilize whatever they can. And this is one of the examples. I think the world should be outrageous, but it should be outrageous for Jihadic Islam and Hamas. This is what basically created this situation. Both physically, they shot the missile that hit the hospital, and in much larger scale, they're endangering civilian people. They're targeting Israeli civilian from within civilian populated areas inside of Gaza. This is just unbelievable. The Israeli IDF is protecting Israeli civilians, where Gaza is using their civilians as human shields. And this is something the world should be outrageous about.
Okay, Alon Lavi, we know you've got a busy day ahead. President Biden about to touch down in Tel Aviv in actually, I'm looking at the time, in actually an hour from now, so we're going to let you go. We'll reconnect with you hopefully later in the day. Take care, and thank you for your time. All right, our special coverage, thanks Alan, our special coverage continues from the war zone here in Israel. That bombing of the Gaza hospital now occupying top of global mind. President Biden tweeting about it before reaching here, saying he's spoken with both Benjamin Netanyahu and King Abdullah of Jordan. What is important there in Biden's tweet is the fact that the Americans are now also going to make their own parallel independent investigation of what happened, because in the fog of war, there are now claims and counterclaims. We have claims from the Gazan people, the Gazan authorities, that this was an Israeli rocket strike. Israel releasing videos, thermal images, radar images to argue that this is a misfired rocket by the Islamic Jihad, and the Hamas would be happy that it's killed its own people because it's managed to dent the narrative. That is what was suggested by the Israel government spokesperson you heard moments ago. Now, either way, the images are simply heartbreaking. I want to play for you. I don't know if there's sound on that video, but can we actually play the video of what was happening at that hospital a short while before rockets hit it? You can see children. You can see children playing there and actually helping to clean up the premises. Can we just play that video? Okay, I don't know if there's sound on this video, possibly not, but those are the images that you do see of little children who are actually helping to pick up garbage from the premises and put it into bags. These are images before the rockets hit the Baptist hospital in Gaza. Really heartbreaking to think all of those children would have potentially lost their lives. We don't have the exact details of the children being children there. Um, and it's really, really heartbreaking to think of what happened at that hospital. I also want to play out for you a statement by the director of the hospital. Listen into what he said moments after the carnage. Remember, doctors have been refusing to vacate the premises, and this is a breaking global story at this point. Can we play out now the video of what the doctors at the hospital said moments after the carnage?
لأقول لهم وللعالم أجمع اليوم هذا العدو الذي يهدد هذه المستشفيات تحت سمع العالم وبصره ولا يحرك العالم ساكنا ولا يتخذ إجراءات رادعة ولا يتخذ إجراءات حاسمة باتجاه هذا العدو، فإنما كان يتلقى العدو رسالة اطمئنان ورسالة سماح بأن يقصف المستشفيات، وقد أتم هذا الأمر في هذا اليوم في هذه المجزرة الوحشية التي قل أن نسمع بمثيلها في العالم الحاضر، وإنما نسمع عنها في تلك العصور البائدة التي تحكي قصص الوحشية والفاشية التي يتمثلها اليوم هذا الاحتلال.
That was the director of the Baptist hospital that has been bombed in Gaza. And I don't know if you noticed, but as he spoke, he was surrounded by body bags, by corpses of those who have been killed. And those killed would have included little children. Now, as I said, in the fog of war, both sides are blaming the other. I want to just bring up, these are images you're seeing on your screen released by the Israeli Defense Force. But Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has also taken to Twitter. And I'm just going to read out what he has said. He has said the entire world should know it was barbaric terrorists in Gaza that attacked the hospital and not the IDF. Those who brutally murdered our children also murder their own children. So Israel very clearly now blaming the Islamic Jihad and the Hamas for what has happened at the hospital. The Gazan people, the Gazan authorities very squarely blaming the Israeli rocket strikes, the Israeli Air Force for what happened at the Baptist hospital. Now you have the Supreme Leader of Iran. Remember, Iran has backed the Hamas. Iran has warned Israel from entering Gaza, has in fact warned of another earthquake, quote unquote. They are now calling for bombardments in Gaza to stop again, saying what's happening in Gaza is angering people, Muslims and non-Muslims, and not just people in Muslim countries, but also in the US, Netherlands, and France. In fact, there have been massive protests, in particular in Jordan, where President Biden is scheduled to go after his visit to Israel. I'm just going to play out for you a small clip of protesters storming the Israel embassy in Amman in Jordan. Take a look. It is an extremely volatile situation in the West Bank too. Massive protests have broken out. Now, even as the world is consumed by what has happened at the hospital, here on the ground, the war is clearly intensifying. We have spent the last 24 hours literally, chasing to count the number of explosions that we're hearing in the skies, the number of rockets that are falling from the skies, and also, of course, the fire that the Israeli troops are returning. I was able to travel to the Gaza border. In fact, we were taken into Kibbutz Be'eri, one of the worst massacre sites by Hamas, and we saw with our own eyes the scenes of carnage, homes that had been burnt alive, a terror attack that had not spared children, kindergarten, playgrounds that had been attacked, and ammunition still lying there, cartridges of automatic weapons still lying on the ground there. And as we were there were explosions taking place literally every, I would say, 10 to 15 minutes. And as we came out, we also heard the sound of rockets in the sky. And in fact, casings of those rockets were right at our feet. And I want to play out for you what I saw there as this war intensifies. Take a look. So just to show you how close we are to the front line of the war, these are the rockets that have come in from the Gaza Strip just moments ago, even while we were inside the kibbutz Be'eri, and we heard, I don't know, so many explosions, more than 20. And here our guide Eli is showing us another part of a rocket that has fallen. What are we seeing here?
This is part of the rocket that they're arriving here, destroy the cars that they parking here in the party.
Yeah.
And also this one. This is from this last week.
And we're just about a mile from the Gaza Strip, right?
Yeah, Gaza Strip, when you've been with
that side, yeah. But we're very close, and they've been targeting, as you can see, from the rockets that have been falling here. And you just heard an explosion. Even as I'm standing here, you can hear the explosions. And these are rockets. Look up.
Boom.
And there, you can see that. You can see the rocket there, right there in the sky, the trail of smoke. If the camera turns around here, let me show you where we are. We are just outside the kibbutz Be'eri, and we just heard
the Iron Dome.
Explosions go off in the Iron Dome.
The Iron Dome. Another one over there.
The Iron Dome is intercepting the rockets that are coming from Gaza.
The rocket coming from Gaza. Another one. Bam.
There, I can see that right in the sky. So we've been talking about these explosions while we've been here at the kibbutz Be'eri. And if the camera comes down, again, I'm going to tell you that we're standing at one of the worst massacre sites. And if the camera pans up to the sky, you can now hear the Iron Dome. You can see those little plumes of smoke in the sky, intercepting the rockets everywhere. And here, let me show you through the sound of explosions. Can the camera please follow me here? You can see parts of the rocket that have fallen right where we were standing. And once again, let the camera move up. Eli, we're seeing the sky filled with these white plumes. Tell us what we're seeing. You counting?
Everything. If you have 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
That they attack the missiles that you have one like that downstairs here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the good jobs of the Iron Dome.
Yeah, the good job of the Iron Dome, Israel's famed Iron Dome, intercepting those rockets from Gaza, but some have fallen here. Let me leave you with this image to give you a sense of how close we are to the war front. Just about a mile, the officer said, from the Gaza Strip, and the explosions literally every few minutes, signaling the beginning of a war offensive. Now, one of the challenges, and this conflict has got extremely complicated after the bombing of the Gaza Hospital, but the other big challenge, the other big question is whether it will expand to include other countries. Iran is already warning of preemptive intervention, preemptive military responses if the Israeli troops do enter Gaza. And already the Israeli Air Force has struck what it calls Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The Israeli military is also engaged in the north. And this is seen to be one of the reasons, according to military experts, that the Israel army may not have entered Gaza yet because it cannot or it does not want a two-front conflict. We try to ask, as we were 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, Israeli military officers about the dangers and challenges of a two-front war. And as we were asking him this, explosions went off in the middle of our interview. But listen to what he said about this challenge, about other fronts opening up in this conflict. Officer, we've been hearing since we got here with you multiple explosions. Can you explain, are these strikes from Gaza? Are these Israeli strikes on Gaza?
They're both.
Okay.
So Hamas has been continuously shooting and firing rockets from the Gaza Strip on Israeli civilians. We are now in over 6,000 rockets and mortars that have been shot from Gaza into Israel. Let me correct that. 6,000 rockets, including hundreds of more of mortars. That's what we're hearing here. We're still continuously attacking Israel.
There is reports that another front is opening on the north as well as the south. Israel military has said it has struck Hezbollah targets. Are you concerned about a two-front conflict? And there was another sound of an explosion. The officer seems absolutely unbothered. We are trying to put up a brave face. Go ahead, sir.
We should all be bothered. War is not something that we as humans in our values want. But sadly, we're in this situation because of your barbaric acts. To your question,
yes,
Israel is prepared for all fronts. and we will not tolerate any kind of poking or trying us out. For the defense of Israel, we will do everything.
Thank you for talking to us. Right. So the war is intensifying. I can tell you that from being on the ground here. And as I said, 1 mile from the Gaza Strip, there are explosions every moment, even as the world is aghast at what has happened with the hospital. In Gaza, it has also been extremely difficult to see what went down inside one of the worst massacre sites by Hamas. Hamas, in the meantime, releasing hostages of videos in its captivity. Take a look at one more clip from just 1 mile near the Gaza Strip. You just heard the sound of another very, very loud explosion. We've been trying to make sense of whether these are the Israelis hitting at the Gaza area or the reverse, and the officers here have told us that it's both. I have to say, even as somebody who's covered any number of wars, the sound of that explosion does make you jump, as calm as we're all trying to remain here as we enter the Be'eri kibbutz, an area where we are being told that 10% of the civilian population has been massacred by Hamas. So as the war intensifies on the ground, we're here to report it. The American president is expected in Tel Aviv at about 10 a.m. a local time. That will be 12:30 p.m. in India. I want to go back to the kind of massive outrage that the Gaza hospital bombing has created in Lebanon as well. You do have American protesters from Lebanon actually coming out on the streets and marching towards the American embassy. There are similar protests in Jordan, in the West Bank. There is a massive uproar, and now in this fog of war, there is a he said versus he said collision over who is responsible for that horrendous bombing of the Gaza hospital. We also have reactions coming in from Macron in France. He is saying that the bombing is unacceptable. He has not made or taken a position on who was responsible for this bombing. But if we can bring up Emmanuel Macron's tweet, he is also calling for humanitarian access to the Gaza Strip to be opened without a delay. This is Emmanuel Macron, who actually also commented on the Hamas's decision to release a video of a French-Israeli young woman in captivity. Can we actually show that video? A 21-year-old woman is in Hamas captivity, and actually Macron had called that odious, the fact that Hamas had indulged in psychological warfare by releasing this footage and also making her record a message. But today, as the news of the Gaza hospital bombing comes in, he is asking for humanitarian access to the Gaza Strip to be opened back without delay, going on to say nothing can justify striking a hospital, nothing can justify targeting civilians. So global leaders now trying to walk that tightrope, the tightrope balancing walk between leaving space for Israel's right to retaliation for the terror attack that was inflicted on its people by the Hamas, but also calling for humanitarian rules of conflict to be respected. And this is what is going to shadow the American president's visit. We will have live coverage of that from the ground here in Israel. We'll take a quick break now, and we will see you in about 20 minutes from now with continuous coverage of the aftermath of the Gaza hospital bombing, the escalating war here on the ground, and the American president's visit. Take care and see you soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.